Hi there and welcome. It's Jennifer Britton. I'm the author of several books, including my latest, The Coaching Business Builder Workbook and Planner. It is Monday, October the 1st, 2018. We have just stepped into Q4. What are you excited about? Well, earlier this morning, I blogged over at coachingbusinessbuilder.com. I included there a series of questions for you to think about as you step into the new month of October and also into Q4. If you haven't been following along on Instagram, I started an Instagram series about 10 days ago called the 90 Days Plan, Do, Track series. And I think any of you who are interested in sort of bite-size reminders and prompts to help you with your planning, your action, and your tracking, hope you'll check that out. Well, today is a 30-minute call. I'm doing these monthly now as a bit of a supplement and a support to you, yourself. Maybe you're a coach training school and looking to scale this with your students. The Coaching Business Builder has been out now for about 3 months, and I've been so excited to see how it is making its way across the world. Today, we are focusing in on one of the 5 areas of the workbook and planner. If you're not familiar with it, this came out geared for coaches. I have a new edition coming out soon for remote professionals, so stay tuned on that. With the Coaching Business Builder, we have Business Fundamentals as Section 1. Section 2 is all about, what can you do to be a more effective solopreneur? Because many coaches today are solopreneurs in their own right. Today, we're zooming back into marketing essentials. You may want to also check out my last call number 5 in the series on marketing essentials last month. And a 4th section of the workbook planner is the ecosystem. The 5th section, one that I'm having a lot of fun with, is the planner itself. So I've been taking people through hacks and sprints and month-end planning sessions, really hearing from so many coaches about the value of having space and place to outline to-dos and actual action steps. And then also having one of my favorite tools, a space and a place to actually do tracking on a monthly basis, tracking on a weekly basis. So just if you are interested or know of others who are interested, I hope that you'll pass it on. Copies are available over at Amazon. So a couple of things as we get started with our call today. What's your most important goal left this year? We are less than 100 years till the end of the year. And I think it's really important that, for many of us, we often look at life in these calendar years. So take stock of what your goals were at the start of 2018 or 2019 if you're listening to this down the road. Where are you in terms of goal progress and how much further do you want to go? Today, we're going to talk a little bit about, using promotional vehicles to get your message across. So I'd like you to also think about what are the 1 to 2 messages you want to get across to your community. If you had to provide something of consistency between now and the end of the year over the next quarter, what are those 1 to 2 messages? And hopefully you're thinking about what they value and also where they go. We have a choice of so many different places to go. And one that I've dipped my toes into in recent weeks and months is Instagram. So here you see the Coaching Business Builder. It's Coaching Biz Builder. And I just started this a couple of months ago, more inconsistency. So you're going to notice here at the midpoint, the 90 days plan, do, track. And this is now day 10, so I even took the screenshot late last week. I am doing a series where every day I'm posting a prompt. I hope that you'll join me because I think as business owners, opening that email at the start of the day with a question, whether it's what's the mix or reminder steps every day add up, or today I've said daily steps equals momentum, it really gets you thinking about things in a different way. And as business owners, I think that's important for us, especially as we're solopreneurs. So do connect on Instagram. My main feed is jen.britton. There you will find more generic things, coaching, business development, group coaching, etc. Coaching Biz Builder I set up so that it's very focused on the plan, do, track, on Coaching Business Builder, etc. And that's what we're talking about today. Now, last week, it's always nice when I get to check things off my list. For a few months now, I've wanted to do a planning newsletter. And so I do have a new newsletter available that you can sign up for. It's known as the Plan, Do, Track, not Plan, Track, Do, but Plan, Do, Track. And it's just going to provide you with monthly nuggets and sound bites around planning. It will also include some of the updates on when virtual retreats are coming. I will be hosting a number of 4-hour and 8-hour virtual retreats in the next 1 to 2 months to help you with your business development. And one of the resources available for newsletter subscribers, not just the group coaching newsletter subscribers. In fact, this is for the Plan, Do, Track newsletter subscribers. We have the Fall Sweep for Your Business, which is a new resource I hope you'll find useful to start, doing a bit of a spring or fall sweeping of your business. So with that, do sign up if you're interested. I'll include the link in the YouTube and also at our site. With all of this, it's about taking these daily steps, consistent action to create some momentum. And you'll be hearing me speak a lot more about this. We're going to talk today about promotion. And, when we think about marketing, I think for coaches of all stripes, so many different things come up. And why is it important? Well, people ultimately need to know what you have to offer. Even the word marketing or promotion may elicit just so many strong stereotypes from, thinking of, I don't want to feel like an icky person, like talking constantly about what I have to offer. Well, there are many different strategies that we can be offering value. So even just looking at how I've been out promoting the book, I know vehicles, things like this are really important to get people into the orbit of what I am offering and what is available. So one of the whys is the 7 to 11 times, and we do want to get people thinking about that. I'm going to just let Steve in. Hello, Mr. Steve Wrigley. Welcome to you. Just talking a little bit about the why of promotion. So did you want to say anything before we get going here? How is promotion working in your world these days, Steve?
It's going slow.
It's going slow. Well,
I don't know why. It's just, I'm actually sort of niching in a retirement area, which I really love. And there's lots of money in it, but just getting people convinced that that's the case.
Well, you're in the right place today. I've had a bunch of people email saying, is this going to be recorded? So I'm recording the call. You can choose to share what you'd like in today's call. It will go on the Coaching Business Builder website and in the feed as well. But, one of the things I think we all experience is a 7 to 11 times rule. Do people even know what we have to offer? And it's every time I bring out a new book, it's a great reminder for me. You can have thousands of people on a list, but do they know what your latest is? And it takes time for people to really, in the super saturated world of marketing, where we're bombarded from the time we get up to the time we get to bed with messages. And so one of the things I want to talk about today is just, getting you individually, whether you're here live or listening, like, where do you want to put your attention? Because for years in marketing, we've talked about this 7 to 11 times rule. Basically, whether you're selling shoes or you're selling services, it takes time for people to actually start hearing about something. Think about it. There might be the latest and greatest Jinsu knives on the market, but have we heard about it? Probably not. We might have thought we heard about it, but it takes multiple touch points. And so as coaches and solopreneurs, I would say, just people who are running their own businesses, being able to develop the momentum of regular touch points is critical. And more importantly, developing touch points that your clients want and value is even more important. And so in today's call, I wanted to go through 9 different vehicles that might or might not be of interest, depending on your niche. I think it's great, Steve. You're a retirement coach. Earlier this morning, I was working with internal coaches. They are also promoting in a different way. And so we're constantly promoting, whether we're internal, external. How do we build a business case? That's another way to look at the why of promotion as well. So what it might entail, everything from video to articles, blogging to speaking, social media. And social media has all its stripes today. I'm happy to dive into a few of them. And before you joined in, Steve, I was talking a little bit about Instagram, which is the current quickest growing vehicle at the moment, this moment in time, fall 2018. It will change again. And another one that I'm going to be talking on later in a few weeks actually is joint ventures. You know, how do we build collaborations with larger organizations? I know as I've been bringing out Coaching Business Builder, a lot of coach training schools are really interested in it. And I attribute my partnerships with coach training schools as part of the success with group, you know, effective group coaching. You know, I'm happy to come and talk to their students, but they're the ones who create their reading lists. As an author, that's one of the best ways to sort of get the word out about what you have to offer. And that's going to differ from client to client. So Steve, not to put you on the spot, but is there one of these that I might be able to shine a little bit more light on this morning to make it worth your time of being here?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now, and I belong to an organization of retirement coaches, a national retirement coaches organization. I think one of the things we're looking at is partnering with financial planners. Because the financial planners are basically working with individuals. They've got that group, they've got the money to pay for coaching, but they're working with individuals. Hold on just a second.
That's okay. And I'll finish maybe part of your sentence.
Okay, so they're working with individuals that are talking only the financial future, but they're forgetting their non-financial future. So it's looking pretty good. That's the area I'm sort of trying to focus with, and nationally we're trying to do that and partnering with them, because if they get people that actually have goals in the future and they're got a enriched and core life, then the possibility of saving more money is a benefit for them. So it's a win-win for either one.
Yeah. And I think, you know, just even like zooming into that, how do you create a win-win? What is it that people are looking for, so that they at least even stop and pause to say, oh, this person has something of value that can really help us? And that's really the sweet spot of any sort of marketing. The other piece, if we can use sort of the niche of retirement, which I have first to say I'm not an expert in this area, but, you know, the vehicles you might be using are probably different, especially when you partner with an association. You know, that's a great way, because they're always looking for articles, speakers, you know, what value can you add to our membership? And they may be hosting conferences, or maybe they are doing outreach to different firms for support, direct and indirect. And so there may be a couple of different vehicles, as I like to call it, that we're touching on today to get you thinking about it.
Great.
At the heart of it, you know, and last month, a few weeks ago when I did the last call, it was on great content. I've just posted that call. So that one's called Content Creation 101. And, you know, you, like others, are very familiar with my love of mind mapping, whether it's done on computer, by hand. Like, what do we even want to offer up? Because if you take a whole niche like leadership or retirement, there's a gazillion things we could be talking about, writing about, blogging about. What are the options? And I think a lot of time we are so quickly moving, having these conversations, we haven't thought through like a list of 10 things I might be able to offer your membership. And so it can look really different. You know, years ago when I had lots of time in my business, back in 2004, I would sit down and do it on computer. The next iteration was a hand-drawn mind map, which would be like probably 2006. Flash forward to something done earlier this year around my Teams 365 work, a half-done mind map in my bullet journal, which is the bottom right. You know, it's a starting point, though. If you're going into business meetings, you need to know what are some of the things we could be talking about. So at the heart of it, great content. And from that content, from those messages, we can then move into any of these 9 strategies. So they're both, the two screens look the same, but I know in my work, I really have continued to see that the speaking is so important, especially when it's speaking for professional associations, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, lunch and learn to conferences, keynotes to breakout sessions. I think we continue to come back to the basics. And if anything, what's quite interesting right now is just the resurgence of everything audio, not just video, but audio. And if we look at like the Alexas and the Amazon devices, and of course Google's minis, that is transforming the way people are consuming content. So I don't know, Steve, if you've thought of like how you might be building relationships beyond the financial planners. Are you at the point yet of thinking about how do you get messages out in terms
Ye-
of, is it
Yes,
audio, video?
yeah. I've worked actually a little bit with AARP in this process. I taught
Right.
for
Yeah.
Encore Life thing for a while for them, but we also have a website, and my wife and I have a music production company, so we have all the audio and video equipment we need. It's just getting the skills what you're trying to do now to go forward with that. So
Mm-hmm.
put that out, and my son does major marketing on YouTube, so
He's
um,
got the expertise
have to get
there.
his thing. He's an 18-year-old that's done really well on YouTube marketing.
Yeah, well, I was just reading an article last night actually in our Toronto Star about the rise, the meteoric rise of like young influencers and just how it really is reshaping a lot of marketing campaigns. If you really look at, what is the platform you have, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, they were talking both YouTube and Instagram, and just how it really is such a powerful vehicle if you can source the crowd, right? So much of it
Mhm.
is building community, which I think as coaches, that's what we naturally do. But many of us, we're working through community to add something of value. And so any one of these strategies, I think, brings the conversation to a new level, whether it is, and your focus, of course, is the association route, maybe down here is one. Connected to that, it could be the lunch and learns, or maybe the association hosts trade shows and conferences. I know in big
Yeah.
centers, as much as maybe 10 years ago, you could hear the pin drop in some of the trade shows. People are going back out to them because we're, at least in some cities, at a pendulum swing of like, I want to see people again. It's worth my time to drop in.
Yeah,
So
they have that, and there's also networking. There's an opportunity to network all the senior centers, and there's several other places you can network with too. So
yeah, well, and again, your audience, your end client, that they value connection and they value the personal touch, which is different than other demographics that might appreciate, the text push or whatever to get their attention. So networking is networking.
and I'm a little bit of network even using LinkedIn. LinkedIn's pretty good for working with professionals that are thinking about retiring and stuff. So networking virtually, I guess you'd say too. On a
Yeah, networking virtually, even virtual trade shows. I know probably 10 years ago, they were trying to like virtualize trade shows using Second Life. I don't know if you have heard of Second Life, but it's
Hmm.
an older platform where it was one of the original virtual platforms, and you would have an avatar, and literally you could go to a trade show, have your avatar attend for you, but it was really interesting. I think it was ahead of its time in many ways, but virtual networking fora, they are blossoming, whether it's as structured as a mastermind, which is really a very focused way of networking, or whether it's something looser like the association is hosting a virtual lunch and learn. I do a lot of my speaking now on those virtual lunch and learns,
Mhm.
where whether it's HR associations or I'm trying to think of ones that I have coming up, HR training, safety, they're bringing their members together for something of value. Ultimately, though, we need to figure out, what are we positioning, right? What is the message we want to share with the members that will be of value to them? And I think there's plentiful opportunities if you can build the relationships and position something of value, because it can't be a sales pitch, right? There can be some selling, but it needs to stand out as something of value that's going to help them further whatever their goals are: retirement, business development, being more efficient at work. So what I'm imagining, as you shared there, Steve, podcasting, we could have a whole video window here as well. What are you sitting somewhere on the fence of video, audio, or going to do both?
Yeah, we're going to start doing that. I think it gets it out pretty easy.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that's what you're seeing on Facebook and stuff. People are wanting to see more video and audio. They're
Mm-hmm.
reading less.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's the next big thing. My wife's an actress, so she said she'd help me. She's professional.
I forgot that. Yes. Well, you're in a good position. And again, a nice thing about a lot of the audio work, or a lot of the video work, you can then strip out the audio for just
Mm-hmm.
the audio,
Mm-hmm.
even something I saw on TV last week about just the massive increase that's going to happen with audio feeds with cars, like Apple CarPlay and all of the different moves in any 2018, 2019 vehicles. That's also going to transform how people are consuming content. We're seeing it in the publishing world, the move to audiobooks. That has been a huge wave in the last year. So thinking ahead, not just what's going to work well now for you, but also what's going to work in the future, or what you can be doing today, with the mindset of, if we do repurpose this down the road, what's going to be easy. And that's something I know many of us are thinking about always. Okay, so I write a book, but how quickly could it become an audiobook? Do I still retain the rights, or do I, sell that off with the hopes that the publisher will do that? So all these business decisions, quite large and small. Ultimately, we want to go back to the fundamentals, who, why, what, where, when, how. Apply the 5 W's plus an H, as I always like to call it, the who, what, why, where, and of course the how, and have a plan around that, which I think this is where, and this was part of the driving force for me to pull together the Coaching Business Builder. A lot of coaches have great ideas, but they become so big they're almost unexecutable. So how do we chunk it down into more manageable steps? And that was just the first part of today's call. So I think you've been through this, but I wanted to take everyone today on the call through an exercise I've been calling for years, the sweet spot. I've added another circle to this. But if you'd like to grab a pen, I want to take us through a quick 4-minute exercise to maybe bring some further ideas to the surface for you around marketing and positioning. So starting with your work, I'd like you to think about, what do your clients want? Just take a minute literally to bullet out, what are the key things your clients want? What are you hearing right now about what they want from service providers or coaches in general? And next, I'll get you to just draw another circle that's interconnected, and we'll move to themes, shifting gears a little bit, but like, what are the themes that are hitting your radar screen right now? Maybe it's, I want more resources around X or Y. What are some of the themes you're hearing as it relates to your focus areas? And I'll get us to move to the third circle, where I'll get you to think about priority approaches. I touched on 9 different vehicles very quickly, but what's on your list of priority approaches? What do you want to try out or experiment with or do more of? And then I'll get you to add a fourth circle. Normally when I do my sweet spots, there's only 3, but as I was writing this out, I thought, well, what's the one thing we haven't tried but wish we had? Is there something you haven't done yet? Whether it's using a platform or dipping into a theme, what's one thing you haven't done or tried yet but wish you had? And before we move off of this, I'll just invite you for about 45 seconds to just take a meta view look across this, sort of a high level, sitting in a plane. What do you notice across all 4 of those circles for yourself? Is there an overlap? What's the connection there for you? So, always a different outcome with the sweet spot. This is one exercise you can be adjusting, adapting, putting dates around it. I hope that it's created a bit of a nudge, and wanted to leave this call with a couple of visual metaphors. So if you were to think about your current thinking on expanding perhaps that 7 to 11 times rule, getting out and doing 7 to 11 times of contacts, what kind of vehicle do you want to focus on? And this is a photo, I think, that comes from Cuba. Would you drive around on a watermelon bicycle? What's the vehicle you want to focus on based on what you've thought about this morning? Take a minute or so to think about your optimum vehicle. And a bit of a related question as you think about that vehicle, from its foundation, what can you leverage as a foundation? And finally, what kind of road do you want to focus on? If you think about what's around the corner, what would you like to focus on? So, as I said at the start of the call, we've just stepped into the month of October. One of the many planning sheets from the Coaching Business Builder. Take a look at what you had planned originally for the month of October and where your content might be going. Out of all the places, where do you want to focus this month? You know, if you were to undertake something for 31 days straight for the month of October, what could that look like in terms of daily action steps? And in the workbook, there's lots of content tools in the content planning section, or the back pages as they're called. And of course, there's the monthly content tracker, where you can start noticing what you're doing, like being very intentional on a daily basis of tracking your content, and also tracking if it serves you. You know, where are you putting things? Are you going to Facebook? Are you going to LinkedIn? Are you using Instagram? If so, what do the metrics say? Are 50 people viewing it on LinkedIn, but 2 are viewing it on Instagram? Are 50 people viewing it on Facebook, but 100 are listening to your Facebook Live? I think one of the key things in marketing is really starting to look at metrics, and we've got to start tracking those at a point in time. So if you do have the Coaching Business Builder, definitely pull out, it's a new month, pull out a new month for October and start tracking away. And I think that's about all that I was going to talk about today. Just a reminder, I'm going to be doing more hacks. So hacks are like short planning sprints, including 4-hour planning sessions that I've been having a lot of fun with. And then the month-end planning for this month is Wednesday the 31st at 8 to 9 a.m. in the morning. So, Steve, you don't have to, but any final comments, any commitments you want to articulate?
I am halfway through your book and really enjoying it as a plug.
Nice.
So my goal is to get that book read and abstracted and try to figure out what I'm going to implement this month. So.
Ooh, I love that. Well, I remember you as an
one?
abstractor, so I'm glad it's an abstractable book. Good. Well, thank you for joining. I think the next call for this program is not until a few weeks from now. Let's see if I have it at my fingertips, which I should have. And it is not until Monday, November 5th. So that topic is going to be 2019 business planning already. And it may feel like already at that stage. So with that, stay tuned. And if you're on Instagram, just a reminder at jen.britton and Coaching Biz Builder, I'm doing the 90-day series of business development questions. So check that out. I talked a little bit about it earlier in the day. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. Let us know what you are focusing on, and I'll see you back in November. Take care. See you. Bye-bye.